Hi, welcome to the second part of my series about playing arpeggios and dominant sevenths on the double bass. If you need to learn all your arpeggios and dominant sevenths, this series will show you the best order to approach them. Here's a table showing all the ones required for the syllabus at Trinity Laban, where I teach. In the last video, I covered all the 2-octave arpeggios, apart from the one starting on E flat, and a few 3-octave ones that can be played with harmonics. That included all the ones you needed to know for ABRSM exams, apart from one, E minor 3 octaves. In this video, I'm going to show you a super secure way of playing that one, and I'll go on to cover the other minor arpeggios. But I promised that before doing that, I was going to tell you a secret. Everybody knows that the further you go up on a string instrument, the closer the notes get together. You can see that really clearly on a guitar fretboard. So if I keep using the same hand shape, it has to get smaller and smaller as it goes up the bass. And if I go from a hand shape covering a wider interval to one covering a smaller interval, say from semi-chromatic to chromatic, then it has to get even smaller. Everybody knows that. But what if I have to do it the other way around? What if I go from a chromatic hand shape to a higher semi-chromatic hand shape? Well, now there are more notes, but they're closer together. How do I know whether my hand gets bigger or smaller? Well, when I was a student, I went around asking loads of people this question, and nobody could ever give me the answer. But there is a simple answer. If you play a minor arpeggio on a single string, those notes are the same distance apart on the fingerboard. Here's my guitar again. I've put 3 playing cards covering an octave on the fretboard. You can see the top one covers 5 semitones, a perfect fourth. And the other 7 semitones split up almost exactly into 3 and 4, the minor third and the major third. It's not exact because the fretboard has well-tempered tuning like a keyboard. The perfect fourths and fifths are perfectly in tune, but the thirds are an approximation. The tuning your ear wants to hear comes exactly where the 2 playing cards meet. As far as I know, nobody ever mentioned this simple fact until I wrote about it in my book, Reaching the Heights, which was finally published in 2018. And that's why I call it my Minor Arpeggio Secret. Knowing this secret will make it easier for you to play in tune in all sorts of situations, not just when playing minor arpeggios, but you won't be surprised to know that it's going to be very useful for us when we want to play E minor. Let's go back to a couple of the minor arpeggios we learnt at the end of the last video. When we play D minor, the distance from D to F is the same as the distance from F to A. So if I keep my hand size the same and shift my thumb to where the F was, keeping the string stopped, then the A is going to be in tune automatically. And then on the way down, I can shift the second finger back to where the thumb is, and I've got a guide to find that one as well. It's actually easier to get it in tune stopping it than it was with the harmonics. I could do that for hours. And it's a good idea to do it over and over again. Because when you've found a way of doing something accurately, repeating it over and over again helps to build the pathways in your brain, and you'll be able to do it more easily in the future. The most secure shifts in thumb position are the ones where you shift your thumb to where you just played the last note, or vice versa. But if you go out of tune, it can be hard to know whether you've shifted the wrong distance or formed the new hand shape wrongly. Practicing this shift is a brilliant opportunity to practice this skill. You know the hand size isn't changing, so it's all down to whether you are hitting the F with your thumb accurately. Now we also learnt G minor, and now we know that all these three distances are all the same distance. And we finally get on to E minor, which is the one I told you I was going to explain how to play. And now we have a solid G, B played thumb 3 in semi-chromatic, then all we have to do is move the thumb up to there, and we should have an in-tune top E. I'll do that again. And once again, the place I'm looking is where the B is, because that's the note that's common to both hand shapes. I play it there, keep my eye on it as I move the thumb to it, and keep my eye on it as I move the third finger back. So all of a sudden, we now have a bulletproof way of playing that shift, instead of just aiming and hoping. I just wish someone had told me that before I spent hours and hours practicing the end of the Kusevitsky first movement. So, if you just came here to learn how to play arpeggios for grade 8, you can switch off now. Please give me a thumbs up, and good luck with your exam. But as you can see, there are still lots of other keys to learn, and nobody gave all the composers the memo telling them not to use those keys. So if you're here to get better at the bass and not just pass exams, stick around and let's see where we go from here. So after practicing that D minor shift over and over again so that it became really secure, we can try doing it a semitone either side for C sharp and E flat. And here's an interesting thing. If I go up onto the top string before doing this shift, that's now a section of B major arpeggio, and when we play that top D sharp, there are harmonics under my thumb that provide the whole of the rest of the third octave of B major. So as I said, the Minor Arpeggio Secret can be used in other situations other than just minor arpeggios. Now the other pattern we worked on was the E minor arpeggio. I could use that on E flat, but I've just got the other one, which I think is a bit more secure. So I'm going to use this E minor one for F minor. F sharp we could do the same, but there's actually a harmonic we can throw in to save ourselves the trouble of doing the final shift. And then we're on to G with the harmonics. Now I could use this pattern for A flat, A and B flat. And if I did that, then I'd have finished off all the minor arpeggios. But it's not that secure doing this shift up onto a thumb in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to try and find a better way of playing those three. So this is where we've got to. I've written MAS on all the patterns we just learnt, and I've put it in lowercase for those three where I'm not sure that I found the best way of doing it yet. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this video. In the next part, I'm going to look at how to use a non-standard hand shape to play the top octave of all your dominant sevenths. I hope you'll join me then. Bye.